Hi, everybody. So Amelia and I are here
No.
together again, and we're going to do another health checkup. And this one's about the thyroid. Yes. So Amelia has her own practice where she meets people individually still. So keep that in mind if you need help. And I have lots of programs, and we're going to talk about a lot of different things. But we want to talk about the thyroid in different ways. Like, first, what is the emotion that brings in a thyroid issue? So, what do you want to say about that, Amelia?
Yeah. And, I will mention too, a lot of energy I pick up too, which this will tie into the other adrenal video too. So go back to that. Um, is that I will often see an energetic blockage right there too, from a lot of different things because, and I don't know why I'm going there first, but because we've segmented ourselves from gut and brain, and so the adrenals are crucial in that, thus affecting the thyroid as well. So a lot of times I'll see a big blockage right over that, which can be a lot of different things, but a lot of it is like fears of self-expression, um, like a deep frustration or kind of like stuffed things that you haven't said.
Mhm.
Um, I thought this one's interesting, the conflict between the conscious and the subconscious. That one I find very intriguing.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
and
and
just,
that can be seen with somebody who's trying to manifest money.
mm,
And they haven't figured out that the subconscious is blocking them still because they have a wound they haven't healed. So they're doing all the steps in the conscious mind, but the subconscious hasn't accepted it yet, so it doesn't materialize.
that makes a lot of sense.
Mhm. Yeah.
And then I
So
think just not being heard or not being able to speak your mind or use your voice. Well, how was it worded with the what you were saying earlier? We were talking about
just
with the
intense
voice.
emotions not being able to come out. So you're
Mm,
holding all that. And what came into me from my higher self was being trapped. So basically, not being allowed to be yourself. So you're trapped in your body because you can't speak your
mm-hmm.
own truth. And I feel like that is a big thyroid trigger for people. Yep.
Which can then slow down the metabolism, and then we put on these false protections as weight, and it's just a whole cascade effect.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And the adrenal plays into that. So the
mhm.
weight thing, the adrenals play into it and they trigger the thyroid and then they kind of go bing, 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 back and forth. So it's important to work on both. If you are exhausted, if you are constipated, like there's a lot of things that play in to these two organs not working correctly. So
Yeah.
definitely pay attention to those. And our disclaimer, we are not doctors, so do your own research. This is our experience and the things that we've learned in our
Mhm.
experience. So, what are some of the natural things that you would do for the thyroid? Like the
Oh,
outside?
I've done it all.
Yeah.
Because I've had a genetic line on both sides, definitely played an impact. So I've worked through all of that. And you can even, for some people, do well on some glandulars too, but that would be just person by case basis. A lot of nutrients for the thyroid would include the selenium and drawing a blank, iodine. That is like sometimes some organs have like their specific nutrient that they need the most of, and that's the one for the thyroid. Um, and I've done a lot of essential oils and just rebuilding with other building supplements, minerals, and some herbs as well that are more thyroid specific, which again I think ashwagandha is one as well. And there's a longer list of things you can choose from there too, depending on your specific needs. It's really bio individual to each person. So,
Yeah. And the liver too will affect the thyroid if the liver's overloaded. So it's important to kind of work on all your organs really at the same time, but the thyroid tends to like want to take over and clean, and then it gets filled with gunk. So,
mhm.
that's important to remember. Selenium is very important. Endoflex is something that you mentioned that you were using.
Yes, that one's yeah,
Mhm.
because it's an endocrine gland. So it's your left side, your feminine side. Yeah.
Yeah. Geranium, frankincense, myrrh, lemongrass. Things to avoid: fluoride, uh,
Hmm.
soy.
Big times.
So when I had my thyroid issue, which went on for, I would say it was like a good 5 years probably, it was brought on by eating everything soy. So soy cheese, soy milk, my bread
Mhm.
had soy in it. Everything was filled with soy. And my metabolism was like destroying itself very quickly. And Candida came
Mhm.
in because I think my adrenals were low anyway. Uh, and it got to the point where it was really bad, and I was covered in hives that were like this big. So
Wow.
the hives would leave a bruise when they left. And that was a pretty massive, like, amount of issue going on there. And I went to an allergist the first time, and she tested for the thyroid, and she found that it was Hashimoto's, so it was autoimmune. But
Hmm.
she gave me a lot of crazy medicine that I did not want to take. So I went and saw a naturopathic doctor who was also an MD, and she put me on a lot of different kinds of things, but mostly it was like cleaning up my system and
Hmm.
using a lot of castor oil packs. She had these great homeopathic drops for the thyroid, which mimicked the
Those are
thyroid
great.
hormone. They were the best. And that
Hmm.
really helped me. And I knew that I was better when I couldn't take them anymore. They would cause like my heart would speed up too much. So I
Hmm.
knew that I was done with them. But that was after getting quantum healing from this lady who actually probably shouldn't have done it by herself. So she ended up hurting her own throat through helping me. And it took her weeks to recover from that, this lady. And my throat was sore for weeks as well after what she did. So it
Wow.
really did help a lot, and it worked. But just the general cleanup of the body is so important for
Hmm.
these organs, and doing it not in a
Yeah.
crazy way. Don't kill everything at
Hmm.
once, because you will suffer. Your body will have a hard time getting rid of it.
Yeah. As you were talking, I was reminded of so many things I did do because I also had Hashimoto's for 20 years and was on the natural thyroid um prescription, and but started on the synthetic because I was only 20 years old when I was dealing with all this and didn't know. But if you're a higher vibrational being, you might have a more sensitive thyroid too, but also means you're more sensitive to certain things. And so homeopathics are really good for highly sensitive people. And it often does so much better than anything that your body has to digest or go through that process too. So,
Yeah. Yeah, that was the most fabulous thing I ever had, was that kept me running, like, because I was still working full time, all that kind of
mhm,
stuff. And
mhm.
that homeopathic medicine kept me going.
Yeah, there's another product I'll use just for maintenance now, and it helps. It's a protomorphogen from a certain brand standard process, and it's really, really good to keep the immune system within the thyroid, and then all of that too as a kind of, I use it as preventative now, or I just feel drained and it's not my adrenals directly and things
Mhm.
like that. So
Yeah. And we've been through the ringer with Ascension. Like, there's no way around that. You know, most of us have had a lot of symptoms. Some people really haven't had that many symptoms, and maybe they didn't sign up for that, you know, part of it.
Mhm.
They've come through it kind of gracefully. Like, my husband really hasn't had that many symptoms, but he's had injuries that reoccurred. So,
Mhm.
kind of pay attention to yourself and say, what emotion do I have connected to that thing that keeps showing up, and allow it to be healed, like find a way to heal it. What's your book that you have, the emotion thing?
I've had this one for about 11 years. It's called Feelings Buried Alive Never Die.
Yeah, that is a great book. I have that book somewhere
Mhm.
in my boxes of books. This one also is
I want
really
that one.
good. Yeah. And it helps a lot. So, you know, it's wise maybe if you're having body stuff continually happen to get one of those books and really be able to look into it, because you want to heal the emotion first, because that's where it originates.
Yeah, and one sign if you're a person who visits the chiropractor too is if your adjustments don't hold very long, it's often an emotional
Mhm.
thing. So really listen to your body and really see if that's what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah. And throughout my lifetime, I've always had something going on in my body that wasn't like the best. And right now, I'm probably doing better than I've almost always done.
Me
So,
too.
yeah, it's a really interesting time right now with the body, because it's finally like bouncing back, it feels like.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I love it. Like, it's been great. So thank you,
Yeah.
Crystalline Body. Um,
Yes.
yeah, Candida is a big problem with thyroid too. That was
Mm.
probably the biggest for me. And I know she put me on a water fast for like 3 days. And that was so like too much for my system. I couldn't do it. Um, and then another thing that was done was a brain protocol. And you can't see it in the camera, but my eyes went from a dark brown to hazel. So they're actually more of a dark green now with a little bit of brown in the middle. And that was one of the most shocking experiences, because when I looked in the mirror, I was so used to seeing my brown eyes, and I was like, what is going on? My eyes are a different color.
That's cool.
Yeah. And that happened, I guess, frequently with that protocol, which was homeopathic. And I think that she was trained in Portland or near somewhere in Oregon or Washington in the West, on the West Coast. And she said that several of her classmates had their eyes change color.
That
So,
makes sense. There's a lot in the eyes that you can read.
yeah, iridology is like a real thing. So,
Mm-hmm.
it was
Mm-hmm.
pretty interesting. Um, so just kind of really paying attention to how you're feeling and checking in with yourself is one of the biggest parts of self-love, I think.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. If
So,
nothing else comes to mind, start with that.
mhm. Yeah. And I know that a lot of the things that we've been doing in the past, like few weeks and months, have changed things too. Like, no more sugar for me, which has been massive. That has really helped my adrenals. I am taking adrenal
Mm-hmm.
like supplementation that's specific for the adrenals. That's helped me a lot. The LifeWave patches has helped a lot. There's a lot of different things that are
Yes.
really helping. and not pushing so much,
Mm-hmm.
because when I first started this out, I was working a lot. And I've gone from working 80 hours a week like a year ago to basically dropping to maybe 60. And then I dropped down and I'm probably below 40 at this point hours a week of actual work. And that has changed my life, too, because you really wear yourself out.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah. And did you mention protein as well?
Yes,
Yeah.
a lot of
Okay.
protein. I eat a lot of protein. And it's goat milk protein, it's goat milk, it's sheep yogurt, which is very thick, kind of like a Greek yogurt. And
Mm-hmm.
there's no weird taste or anything, but it's the A2 milk that's much easier on your body. I decided to
Mm-hmm.
give up eggs for just a little while and see how I feel because I'm not sure if they're the best. My body didn't really want them for a little while, so I'm kind of experimenting with them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, a lot more protein than I normally would have eaten, and your body needs it as a building block.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of the big things, like the psyops.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you have any digestive struggles, it can be helpful to do some amino acids, which really help the thyroid and adrenals too. Because then if you're struggling to break your food down, um, little supplementation can boost you back up temporarily too for amino acids. But chew your food till it's like purified, liquefied
Bush.
in your mouth. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yep.
that's really
That'll
hard to
help.
do. You have to really concentrate to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Amino acids, I just purchased those. They just came. So I haven't started taking them yet. But there is a lot of stuff that I feel like as we've aged, and also just some of the stuff that's been going on, like I don't feel like the stomach acid is as strong as it used to be. And this may be environmental more than just aging. I feel like it is actually. But
Yeah, you're supposed to have high stomach acid for sure.
yeah, and I don't
And
think that I have for a long time, which does not
mhm,
help the situation. And it also keeps the parasites happy because they're not getting digested either.
exactly. So when you chew enough, then it stimulates your stomach acid production. And then zinc, if you're getting enough zinc, that will also help with stomach acid regulation too, because it should be very acidic.
Yeah.
There's a lot of misconceptions about that and different things that we experience.
Yeah,
So,
because that valve opens when there isn't enough stomach acid.
mm-hmm,
It's not
mm-hmm,
that it's opening and you have too much. It's opening because there isn't enough.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, yeah, that feels pretty good. Anything else you can think of?
Oh, I'm sure there's more. I mean, those are very big topics, but that's a good starter. And then if you have specific questions, maybe we could address those in later videos too, and
Yeah,
comment below.
right. If you have a question about one of these things, oh, you got really bright there for a second. If you have a question, put it in down in the comments, but also if you have another thing that is bothering your body, bring that up. Yeah.
Definitely.
Mhm. Okay. Well,
Hopefully, you guys are all doing well with it all.
yeah, we really do hope you're doing well and you're feeling good. And I'm excited that it's spring so you can get outside. Yep,
Yes, put those bare feet on the ground for now and see what happens.
exactly. Okay, well, thanks everybody. Thank you so much, Amelia. And I'm going to put all of Amelia's stuff
Thank
right
you.
below. Okay.
Thank
Bye,
you. Thank you.
everybody.